share content.
Behind the scenes, siyakhuphuka.
Utirala ngimu.
Awusuka nini manje? Siyakhuphuka. Ladies and gentlemen, siyakhuphuka.
Ladies and gentlemen, the almighty Jaguar. The only goat today is a Jaguar. The nigga from the village.
Bye-bye. It's time for me to work. Ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all and I hope you ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all and I hope each and every one of you is having an awesome day today. It's our JJ, and today I'm going to be giving you the best strategy that features DXY as well as XAUUSD. I'm very much excited and I'm very much intrigued and I'm ready for this one. Don't forget, today it's a big day. It's a very big day in South Africa, in Africa as a whole, where South Africa will be taking Nigeria head to head. I'm a South African, obviously. I believe Bafana will do us proud. So catch the match live today at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock South African time, GMT +2. Without any further ado, let's get into the DXY, the dollar index. As you guys know, I always emphasize the importance of the DXY and the role it plays in understanding what's going to be happening in the dollar. There's a video I watched. I think I'm going to share that video. It's from the guy who was interviewed in the Words of Wisdom.
Reason why the dollar has rallied so aggressively since the start of January is, number one, that was sold the most in that period. So dollar's been sold the most, let's buy it. So it's actually more prone to upside than downside at that moment. But then also we had sort of data was actually relatively decent in the US that allowed the Fed to back those rate cuts. So that pushback gave that dollar the boost. What you got to think is, why is the markets move lower? Why is the markets move higher? And just think the opposite. So the markets move higher because, number one, the data was pretty good. Inflation's slightly stickier. PMIs were pretty good. So retail sales was all right. Wages was slightly sticky. Get paid more, you tend to spend more. That allowed the markets to push back up, gave the dollar the boost. So if the Fed actually says we're going to cut rates, that's completely opposite to why the markets drove higher. So that then gives them a reason to sell off.
It's a clip of a guy saying and telling the people the importance of DXY, and also that video just recently dropped, and I also had the video that I also did and I had shared the importance of the DXY as well.
On trading for the longest time, it makes sense to me. I'm going to try to make sure it makes sense to you too. We have the DXY. It's called the dollar index. Everything that happens to the dollar, write it down. Everything that happens to the dollar is being reflected in the DXY. Let me repeat that again. Everything that happens to the dollar reflects on what? On the DXY. But then I was asking myself with the other pairs, I mean, like for example with the GBP, where do I get to see what happens on the GBP? I couldn't get that. Where do I get to see what happens on the JPY? I couldn't get to see that. Where do I see what happens on the Euro? I couldn't get to see that. I have to just watch on the Bloomberg in order to hear the little news events that happens, in order for me to understand the entire thing that happens. But even if I didn't watch the news per se, but I can always come use my technical analysis to understand what's happening on the dollar by analyzing DXY. Let me ask a question. What is the DXY?
So the DXY is simple. The first thing first that you need to do, you need to draw all the important support and resistance areas. There are so-called zones, there are so-called retest areas and continuation areas. So I've drew all of them. When you do this, you are making what we call the work. You're making your work to be much more easier. As you would remember, those who did accounting, they would have their own specific different exercise books that already had the squares and the lines drawn across, so that it's going to be much more easier for them to draw the balance sheet. So same as here in Forex, when you are analyzing, have your balance sheet exercise book. Make your screen to be an exercise book, so that it's going to be much more easier for you to understand where the market is and where is it going to be going after. So after I have this, I know that at 100.587, that's gonna be treated as my major support area, and I know that there's a double top that had transpired and taken place at 107.165. My mathematics teacher taught me that everything after a comma, you call the number one by one. So it's 107.165. So those are my major supports and my major resistance areas. So I already can understand that. And I'm looking at different other areas where there was an impact that had transpired, that has taken place. I would see on my far right at 102.733, I can tell that there was a mini support area, and I would look at not even at my far right, but before my far right, which is here. Let me try to indicate that for you here. At this point, it's 103.957. When I'm looking at this, I would say that it was my resistance, and then now the market came to test that point. So what am I looking for? Am I looking for continuations, or I'm looking for the market to continue moving further down? What is it that's going to happen? How will I know that? I will only know what I'm looking for through me analyzing and coming to the conclusion of what am I doing. So this is the best strategy. This is the strategy I always use to always come on top, to always come victorious in every trade that I take that is USD based. So I'm now gonna do what I'm not gonna start introducing my trend lines. I remember when I started trading, there was a guy who asked me a question: do you know what a trend line is? I was like, hey, I don't know what a trend line is. He said, bruh, you are far away gone. You will never know Forex if you don't know what a trend line is. Hey, I was very much excited of that. I had to go home and research and know what a trend line is. I came back to him, I'm like, oh, trend lines are those diagonal lines you draw to analyze and understand the movement of the market. So yeah, as you can look at this, when I analyze like this, it shows me that I'm at actually the diagonal resisting trend line, and I'm looking for pushing further down. This is the first option I have. I'm going to show you two different options that I will come up with on this analysis. This is the first option. If you're looking for sells on the DXY, this is how they're going to be. However, there's another option. This is the first option. I'm going to delete it out. Take it out. Then now there's another second option. I'm going to take the main structure. And treat this thing as something that has already gone past, and then look for continuations further up. There are two options that I've portrayed and that I've showed you guys right now. So it's all lies in your hands as to which one do you think is the one. So this is the second one. I'm thinking this one is more valid than the other. I think DXY is going to test at 103.908. Then from there, I'm gonna continue buying up. Again, as you can see, there's a person who might say, what if the Omari JJ, this thing came to test this point here, properties, and then I change the color. Let me make it thicker, and then I want a different color. Let me make it black and thick. So there is another option. What if a person comes to say, What if this thing decides to test that resistance? It have not broken above that resistance area, so you can never expect it to just push up. There must be more momentum that is given, and there must be more demand that is shown through, and then there is gonna be a supply. So what if a person says that? I'm not gonna dispute that, but what I would say right now is that watch closely the DXY, because me and you are currently not having any informative knowledge as to whether are we gonna be pushing up or we pushing down. Can someone comment in the comment section and say DXY is gonna be pushing up? The first analysis was correct or the second one is correct? I want to see how you guys view this, because me currently I'm also confused. I'm not sure whether are we going to be pushing up or we're gonna be pushing down. So right now it's gonna be just a waiting game. It's gonna be just a waiting game, but I'm very much highly optimistic and very much positive that we're gonna break the 104.374 point, and then we're gonna get to go to 107.165. So I'm very much excited and I'm looking forward to that too. So let's just try to highlight that other part, that other analysis, that other part. Try to highlight it. Let's try to highlight it. The reason why I'm out here analyzing with my smartphone is to show you guys that it's possible. With any 4 minutes you get, you can always look into the market and go and understand what's currently happening, what's currently hip and happening in the market. With every 4 minutes, 6 minutes you get, whether you are at the office, whether you're at a construction company, you can always just use your smartphone during lunchtime and just make an informative decision, or wait when you see that it's not the right time for you to enter your trades. Wait until it's the right time for you to do so. So right now I'm looking at this, I'm like 103 was very big in terms of being a resistance. Does that mean that we are going to see strong resistance areas and we're gonna start now pushing further up again? Because when I'm looking at 104 was also a resistance area in the previous data that is on my left hand side, and then also 103 was also acting as it's not that clear with 103. It's not that clear with 103. However, 104 I'm very much optimistic. So if 104 was a resistance and we see it respecting that again, what will happen when the market touches 103? Let's see 103, what happened before on 103. It was a resistance again here. 103 was not that clear, was also, but in most of the cases it was always acting as a resistance. Here, so it's always acting more of a resistance area. So that makes us to say we are more likely to finish the setup, sell until here before we start buying. So that's just one of the things that I'm looking into right now as I'm analyzing this market that is provided and that is given to us right now. So ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. I'm currently not having a clear indication as to whether DXY is buying or it's selling, but according to this first analysis, DXY must push up. But according to the second analysis, okay, the conclusion that I can put here is that let it retest. After retesting, we're gonna be expecting a push on DXY that can even lend us to 107.165. So right now nothing is clear, nothing is given to us on a silver platter. We are still looking for the market creators to play with the DXY a little bit, and then we're gonna push up when we are done. So with having that information on DXY, it means that we are easily gonna be having the conclusions that are gonna help us with knowing what's happening with gold. But before we go to gold, I'd say let's look at USDJPY first. As you know that there's always if gold is buying, USDJPY is going to be selling. So with the information that we are having with DXY, we're saying currently we are having scalps on sells, and the long term we're going to be having the longs, which are going to be buys on the USDX, which is the dollar index. So that's the conclusion we are coming with from this analysis. So right now, let's look at the USDJPY. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome you to USDJPY. So USDJPY has been bullish for quite some time now. It has been buying for quite some time now. And now it makes sense why gold has not been giving us the buys that we were wanting from it. So we got the same setup. So it has been just buying, and even now we might on a daily time frame still look for continuations of buys from USDJPY. So on a 4-hour time frame, let's see, I think it's the same vibe that it's giving us, but at the same time, look at this. We have a triple bottom, we have a triple top at the top. There at the top we have a triple top, and then from that triple top we are clearly looking forward to break here. So the only time I'm gonna take the signal on USDJPY is when it's here. It's when it has broken below. I'll take a signal only here on USDJPY, only here when it has broken below this segment and tested it. That's where I'll be looking for clean sells. Right now there's nothing that would make me to say I wanna sell USDJPY, because it's still within the market structure that it was still playing at. So the moment we break and then we come to test and then we test below here, that's the only time I'm gonna be looking for sells. So it's still also not clear, but the indication shows us that USDJPY is cooking sells. It's cooking sells. It's cooking sells. It's cooking sells. It's cooking sells. If USDJPY is cooking sells, that means I'm correct when I say DXY is also cooking buys, because that means if there is a strength in the DXY, there is a strength in the US in the base currency, which is USD. So you get it. So then if then we start experiencing buys on DXY, that means we must experience sells on XAUUSD. So let's now, I don't know if we should break it down to 4 hours, same vibe, 1 hour, same vibe. There's nothing new to look into. So then we're gonna move into the pair that we wanted to do for today. But before we do that, I wanted to also confirm from our fundamental tool. There is FASTBULL. I'm looking for, there is the signal that was sent. Goals, it says gold runs in a strong trend on a backdrop of a rate cuts. So then they explain what has been happening on this data. So there is the analysis from FASTBULL. I've been looking for buys from gold for the longest time, but I'm not thinking that it wants to come anytime soon, because now that means I'll be contradicting what I'm saying. I already said when DXY drops, I'll be looking for buys, and I'm expecting DXY to really drop currently. Then I'll be happy to complete the buys on the gold spot. I'll be willing to complete the buys on the gold spot. So there is a trading recommendation. It says the direction is long, and then the entry price is 2025, and then the target is 245. The stop loss is 2020. Then that's the current support, and that's the current resistance. So I don't want to read all this, but technically gold has oscillated narrowly for 2 days. For the second half week, gold may still oscillate, but the pattern center may be lifted. Furthermore, we should focus on the support, which is 2020, below the resistance in the area between 2024 and 2045. Regarding the 1 hour time frame, the MACF forms the depth across the price may retrace later today. While the space will be small, there is no clear signal in the daily chart. The investors should wait until an consecutive trend shows up. Today, the trading range should be between 2020 and 2045, where aggressive investors could buy low and sell high. Okay, fine. This is the information we are getting before we even go to analyze gold. So by looking at this, it's very much interesting to see that it means I'm correct when I said I'm looking for a DXY to continue selling so that gold is gonna continue buying. That means that triple top that is on the triple top that is on the USDJPY is also correct, because if the USDJPY is selling, that means gold is buying. So basically that's how it should be. That's the correct way. That's a correct way it should be. So there we are clearly seeing from FASTBULL. FASTBULL is giving us that indication right about this. So it's giving us that indication. Let's see from the code side. It's clearly showing us that the DXY is on a negative. It's currently at negative 0.3%, and at this time and moment also gold still on a negative. Is currently trading at negative 0.14%, but we are looking for buys from it at a later stage. And also the yen is currently rising, which is something that I'm not surprised of. Currently, I'm saying currently on 15 minutes, but when you start to look for bigger time frames, you'll see that other things are starting to form. So it's very much important for you to look at these stats from FASTBULL if you are looking for this very same experience that I'm actually still experiencing and enjoying right now. Don't forget to click the link on my description in order for you to be able to get yourself FASTBULL and start moving with the bull that is very fast in getting you all the technical and fundamental needs that you need in order for you to make informative trading decisions. So moving right along, we're gonna be finally going to the gold spots. Here's gold. We are not scared. We're gonna look at it as it is and analyze it in a way that is gonna be more understandable for us. Mind you, everyone believes that gold is still has to push up. I also believe that gold still needs to push up, but the pushing up is not as much as it should be. It's not as much as it should be. As you can see that we've been having these weeks that will lead us into dropping. So even if we push, we might push and find ourselves selling again at 21.41. But now you remember FASTBULL, the final take profit was 2040, which is somewhere roughly here. 2040, somewhere roughly here. 2040 was the take profit from FASTBULL. So they're looking for buys until 2040. But the way I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's not a very nice move to take. You can never be saying you want to take a signal move from here to here. The space is just too small. But then I understand from their analysis, it clearly shows that every time when the market is touching 2040, it keeps on retracing and keeps on selling. That means 2040 is the highest resistance area that is available at the time and moment when you're looking at it in the way they do. They're not expecting gold to fly higher until it gets to 2066. But anything is possible if there can be very strong fundamentals that can happen. So after we hit 2040, if we test above 2040, we're going to be looking for straight up buys that are going to lead us to get into 2066, even 2099, of which currently, the way I'm looking at it, that's not going to be possible, because now DXY will start performing well, will start buying as well. You can never be having a bullish DXY and a bullish XAUUSD. It can never happen like that. So it's always going to be one against another. So as you can see that when you're looking at USDJPY, it has already clearly showed that it's now starting to sell. However, if those sells materialize, then that means the buys in gold, if the sells in USDJPY stops and finishes, that means the buys also in XAUUSD will continue and finish at a certain point, which is right now we've seen FASTBULL has gave us the signal says at 2040, that's where they're going to be looking for gold to stop buying. And then we're going to be looking for another signal now, whether we're going to be testing above that area and start looking for buys, or whether we're going to be now going down. So that's it. That's it. The main resistance area 206, support area 206, and then there's a mini support area also here 2021, which also was shown from FASTBULL. So I think they were actually analyzing between these 2 points. The informative decisions that they came with were from these 2 points, which I also highly believe in what they were saying. I see what they were saying. It clearly makes sense. And until further notice, this is what they're going to be looking for. So now, here is my point. And then I would literally put my stop loss somewhere here. And then have my take profit 1 somewhere here. My take profit 2 somewhere here. And my take profit 3 is gonna be 2040. So that's what I'm looking at from this. So you guys saw the importance of checking the tools, the strategies that I use. I just check all the necessary tools. I checked the DXY, I checked FASTBULL. I then still used my fundamental knowledge as well as my technical knowledge in analyzing and understanding what is actually happening. So most of the people, they think only going to MetaTrader 4, analyzing what's on your MetaTrader 4 or 5, you are already done. You are now gonna be looking forward into taking trades. No guys, there's more to it. There's more to it. You must do more. You must do more. And what I like is that I'm showing you guys that it's possible to do more only on your smartphone. I haven't touched the laptop as yet. I'm doing it all in my smartphone, showing you guys that it's also highly possible to do it from only your smartphone. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, let's meet in the next video. It's Jaguar FX, your mentor. I'm now signing out. Thank you.